It's about that time. Welcome to the NBA Now by Chad Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. March Madness begins today, and on today's show, we are going to look at some of the top NBA draft prospects that you need to keep your eye on during this tournament. Some will be big-name players, a la Cooper Flagg. There will be also a couple players that you may not have heard of yet, but I want to inform you on those guys. But before we get into the show, the games will tip off today in the field of 64, and I want you to get your votes in now so you can claim your fame. Who is going to win March Madness 2025? Who is cutting down the nets in San Antonio in early April? Get down in the comment section and let me know. All right, the first prospect that I want to mention on today's show is Cooper Flagg, the forward from Duke. And, well, if you didn't know who Cooper Flagg was and you like basketball, you must be living underneath a rock because this is the projected number 1 overall pick, the true freshman, which, by the way, is the youngest player in this draft class, will be 18.5 years of age by the time the draft rolls around. Dominant freshman campaign for the Blue Devils, averaging 19 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, 4.1 assists. Just unbelievable performance for Flagg in his freshman season, leading the Blue Devils to a number 1 seed, also averaging 2.8 stocks. He's been absolutely awesome. And as I mentioned, he is the number 1 overall prospect. But the reason why I want people to keep your eye on him not only is how does he handle the pressure, but he's also returning from injury in the ACC tournament. First game Duke played, he rolled his ankle and it was an ankle sprain. Now the Blue Devils still went on to go win the ACC tournament and win a couple games after that without Flagg, but how far are they going to make it with or without Cooper Flagg? How limited will he be? Now it does sound like Flagg would be available to play this weekend if necessary. I would assume they hold him out against the 16 seed, but might bring him back in the second round if they play Baylor or Mississippi State. We'll see, but I'm keeping my eye on Cooper Flagg and how he handles the injury. All right, the next player we're going to talk about, Derk Queen, the Maryland center. And this is one of my favorite players to watch in college basketball. He leads that Crab 5 lineup over for the Terrapins. True freshman, actually teammates with Cooper Flagg at Montverdon High School. 16 and 9 on a nightly basis. Gets you a block as well. 52.9% from the field. Doesn't really space the floor. Shoots about 14% from 3. But in the Big Ten semifinals, he hit a pair of triples, which is interesting if he continues to add that to his bag. But this is my number 7 overall prospect. My top 6 is almost locked in right now when you have a mixture of Flagg, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, Tait-Jones, Trey Johnson, and VJ Edgecombe. But Derk Queen is that 7th guy for me right now. His ability to just beat you off the dribble, even though he is 6'10", 246, he has a quick first step for his size. He's got good footwork, both in the low post but driving downhill. He likes to get to that little Euro step and finish amongst the crowd. I'm a big fan of Derk Queen, and I expect Maryland to make a run to at least the Sweet 16. At least that's what my bracket says. So I am taking my time in watching Queen quite a bit in this tournament. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are going to be your one-stop shop for all NBA draft content. We have over 403,000 subscribers, and we'll be live for the NBA draft and have you covered from now until then in late June. So join the channel right now. All right, the next player we're going to get into is Nique Clifford, the guard/forward from Colorado State. This is a player you may not know, but if you have watched college basketball or paid attention to our draft content so far, you would know that I'm a big fan of Clifford. A 5th-year senior for the Colorado State Rams, 6'6", 175, but I think that weight is actually a bit lower because he is built out. I think he has increased that muscles, size that he's got, that strength, that physicality. He's averaging 9.7 boards for the Rams in Mountain West play, shooting crazy efficient from the field. He can score inside. He can hit threes off the catch. He can hit them on step backs, pull up mid-ranges. He likes to drive inside, play off 2 feet, turn around, and take a little fade away from 8 to 10 feet as well. I am a massive fan of Nique Clifford. I could argue he's my favorite player in the field. Is he the highest prospect on my board? No, I think he'll go anywhere between after the lottery and the first round, but this, in my opinion, is an absolute lock for the first round. Maybe he doesn't go first round, but to me, I would have him that way. I know he's a little bit of an older prospect, but he could come in and play right away a winning brand of basketball. He can play the 2, he can play the 3. He's long, lengthy. I'm a big fan of Nique Clifford. I think the Colorado State Rams are going to win their first round game, too, against the Memphis Tigers. All right, this is a player we have not mentioned on today's show, and I almost made this entire video just so I could mention this player, Bennet Stirtz, the guard from Drake. I am obsessed watching this man play ball. He led Drake to a Missouri Valley Conference championship, which is the fun thing about Stirtz, by the way, that he was playing Division II basketball last season. Ben McCullum, the coach for Drake, was coaching him at Division II level. Drake's coach DeFries leaves to go to West Virginia. They fill it with McCullum. Stirtz brings some Division II guys alongside him, like Stirtz. By the way, Stirtz was second-team All-Conference in Division II last year, was the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year this season. You look at his numbers, he does everything for the Drake Bulldogs. They play at a very slow pace. They dominate time of possession, but the fact that he's able to put up these numbers and efficiency in the style of offense that they have is just showing to me and you how efficient he is. He can get to his spots in the mid-range. He's an excellent three-point shooter. He does not get rattled. It is an absolute joy to watch Stirtz. Now, when you talk about his draft profile, I don't know if he gets drafted this season because he is only a junior. He spent a couple years at D2. This is his first year in Division I. He has a lot of years of eligibility left at the Division I level, but if Stirtz goes out there and puts on a show during this tournament, Drake wins a couple games, which I think they could beat Missouri in the first round. I think NBA scouts are going to look harder into Stirtz, maybe as a second-round guy, but this is someone you could also put on your radar if he returns next season, balls out again at Drake, or transfers away from Drake and balls out at a Power 5 for him to be a first-rounder next year. All right, the next player I want to talk about here is Kam Jones, the lefty from Marquette. This is someone who is likely going to be a first-round selection. Now, in the most recent NBA mock draft from ESPN, he went in the second round, but I believe he is a first-rounder. He averaged 19 points a game this season for Marquette, one of the top players in the Big East, just a flat-out scorer. And even though he shot 31.2% from three this past season for the Golden Eagles, he is a much better shooter than that. Just watch his stroke, watch him play, and you know that he can be a 37% three-point shooter in the NBA. I have him as a first-rounder. Like I mentioned, ESPN had him going in the second, but I think he's a first-round talent, probably somewhere in the early 20s, maybe even sneaks into the late teens, at 18, 19, depending on team fit. Guy can absolutely score the rock, does an excellent job getting to his dominant hand, which is left hand. If he works and gets a right-hand shot inside, then his stock will even improve even more. But he gets to his spots, finishes, absorbs contact, true senior. I really like him, and he is the lead man for the Eagles, which they could make a run as well if they escape New Mexico and Donovan Dent in the first round. All right, 5 more prospects to talk about, but we are sponsored by PrizePicks. You can play PrizePicks every single day like I do, whether it's season-long, daily fantasy, sports, and you can go in different sports leagues. You can go in college basketball and make some entries for the tournament. You can go professional basketball as we wind closer and closer to the postseason. Baseball, hockey, esports, and more. PrizePicks also offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard for quick and easy deposits in your account this sports season. Don't miss your chance to cash in as the league's best fight for playoff positioning or already are in postseason play. I've got an entry that you can get in right before these games tip off. More than Janai Broom, half a point. Take the free entry from PrizePicks because he is a win-to-watch award winner possibility. He's going to have more than 1 point for sure. I'll take John Palakudis from Yale to have more than 21.5 points, rebounds, assists, and I'll also take more than Joe Bamisell from VCU to make 2 threes. That's my 3-player entry, but like I said, join me and the millions of others on PrizePicks right now. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, we're talking about Jeremiah Fears here, the guard from Oklahoma. He is a true freshman. He has led the Sooners to a 9 seed in the tournament as they play UConn in the first round. Fears is the second youngest player in the draft. We mentioned Cooper Flagg earlier as 18.5 years old when he gets drafted. Fears will be 18.7 years of age when he gets drafted, assuming that he actually does come out in the draft. There was some buzz from his father that he might actually stay, but I doubt it, considering how much his stock has rose over the past month as the Sooners made a push for the college basketball tournament, as well as getting a couple wins in the SEC tournament. Fears has an unbelievable handle, good quick first step, beats his guy off the dribble to set up his teammates, but also allows him to finish inside. Needs to improve as a three-point shooter, but with a usage rate as high as his in the 30 percentile right now, that I could understand why his efficiency might dip as a true 18-year-old. He could still be a college or a high school senior. He reclassified. I think Fears is ultimately going to be a top 10 pick. I mentioned my top 6 earlier with Derk Queen being number 7. I think Fears is right there for me at 8-9 with Agor Demen, Kaman Malawach, Khan Knepel rounding out that top 10 prospects for me. I'm a big fan of Jeremiah Fears. I think he's going to be a top 10 pick when it's all said and done. Watch out for him. If they're able to get by UConn, they could give Auburn some trouble in the second round of the tournament. All right. Yeah, get to learn this guy, and oh boy, try to pronounce his name. Aniwa Tait-Jones, the guard/forward from UC San Diego, a popular upset pick here. Tait-Jones, Big West Player of the Year. This was the first season that the Tritons from UC San Diego were eligible to make the college tournament after transitioning from Division II. They waited their 5 years. They were eligible this year. Oh yeah, they won 30 games on the back of Tait-Jones being the Big West Player of the Year, averaged nearly 20 points a game, can rebound, can play make for others, finishes inside efficiently, but can also step it beyond the arc and knock down some tray balls. I love watching Tait-Jones play. I love the UC San Diego Tritons. I know it's a popular upset pick, but if you're going to be a 12 seed that takes down a 5 seed in the tournament, you need to have at least one dude on your roster that can take over a game. Tait-Jones is absolutely that. Is he a first round pick? Absolutely not. Could he be a maybe late second round pick or be someone that is a highly sought after player as an undrafted free agent? Yes, I absolutely could see that. I'm a big fan of Tait-Jones potentially latching on and being a low-end rotation guy in the NBA, but you need to know about him in the tournament. I spoke very highly of Tait-Jones. I would not say he's my favorite, but let me know who your favorite NBA draft prospect is down in the comment section. Mine is probably Kasparas Jakučionis and Derk Queen, to be honest. I really like the two of them, both top 10 guys. All right, we'll talk about Kasparas Jakučionis' teammate here, Will Riley, the true freshman from Illinois. I didn't talk about Jakučionis because everyone knows that he's a stud, but I did want to mention Will Riley here, who came in, and which is why the Illinois Fighting Illini were predicted to be so high this year, because this true freshman was a top highly touted recruit. Didn't have the best season, had up and down. This is one of the more inconsistent players in college basketball. And I get it, he's a true freshman, but one night he can look like a top 10 pick, giving you 25 and 8, and then another night he can completely be disappeared from the field and only score about 6 points and shoot inefficient from the field. Illinois 6 seed will take on the winner of Xavier and Texas, and I think Riley and both Jakučionis have a chance to prove to the country, prove to scouts that they can play consistent ball when it matters most and lead the Fighting Illini on a run. We'll see if they ultimately do it. Another one of my personal favorites here, BYU guard that isn't Agor Demen, Richie Saunders from BYU. This dude can flat out score the basketball, and boy, can he hit some shots from deep. Average 16 points per game for the BYU Cougars this season, led them to a top 4 seed in the Big 12. They got to the semifinals before losing to Houston, and he was their leading scorer, shooting 43.3% from the field. And shout out to No Ceilings NBA, as I was listening to one of their podcast breakdowns of Richie Saunders, and one of their hosts mentioned how Richie actually works harder in warm-ups than he does in the actual games, running 1,000%, dripping in full sweat. I like that type of mentality that Saunders possesses. I like his shot. I like his ability to get inside and score as well. When you're watching BYU VCU on Thursday afternoon, keep an eye on Richie Saunders. Last player we're going to talk about on today's show is Chaz Lanier, the Tennessee guard. Now, he is a fifth year, 6'4", 175 pounds, played his first 4 seasons of college ball for North Florida before transferring and being that Dalton Connect replacement on the perimeter. And boy, has he filled in nicely, which has led Tennessee to have a top ranking and a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, shooting 40% from 3, leading scorer for the Volunteers, averaging 17.7 points per game. Him, Jordan Gainey, and Zakai Ziegler have led that Volunteers perimeter, and it's a treat to watch him play. Don't know what his draft stock really could be. I probably would project a mid-second round pick right now, as he is an older fifth-year prospect, but his shooting ability is hard to just dismiss. I would expect Lanier to ball out, hit some big shots down the stretch as Tennessee makes a run deep here. I'm excited to watch him play for the Volunteers in this tournament. And if you want more NBA draft content and more breakdowns of March Madness college basketball, make sure you give me a follow at Nic_Rohloff. I'll have you covered with everything you need to know around the NBA draft leading up to that late June draft. So make sure you do give me a follow right now.